Okay, we're on our very last step to complete this button-up Grace dress. I'm going to use my button guide here to mark where I want snaps. I'm using metal snaps on this dress today. I like to place my top and bottom buttons about 1/2 inch away from the top and the waistband. And then I have 5 on mine. I don't like them further than about 2 inches. Just because this is a true button up, and if they gape open, then you're not going to be happy. I use the same width distance apart down the skirt of the dress as well. On the waistband, I put them closer together because the elastic will pull it snug and pull it apart. I put 2 fairly close together right on the waistband. You can either do it at the very top and bottom of the waistband. I usually do it kind of on the 2 casings that don't have the elastic, but as long as you put 2 there a little closer than the rest, you'll be happier. If you only put 1 there, your waistband is probably going to pull open both on the adult and the youth. So I just use a light colored marking pen. I used yellow here, and now I'm going to put my snaps on. Just follow the snap directions that I got. These are my very favorite snaps that I got from Amazon, and actually I just used my very last snap on this dress, so I ordered some more right after this. They're I think 12 millimeters wide, so a little less than 1/2 inch, and I just find they're like the perfect size. They're easy to put on. They work really well for me. I haven't had any come off, any not snap for me. I have tried several other kind of snaps, and these are my all-time favorite. I'm going to show a close-up here of these. Each snap is kind of different, and they come with their own set of directions, but if you've never put in snaps, you can watch me do this style. These are kind of heavier duty metal snaps, but I find it works just fine on lighter weight fabrics like this one. As long as you interface correctly, they don't put a ton of strain on the fabric just because they're a little heavier duty. The lighter ones I find just come off after I work so hard to put them on. I know a lot of people like the little circle ones that you use pliers. And I do love the way they look. They're daintier, they're smaller. I often try to use them on my daughter's things, and I don't know if I just have super weak hands or what it is, but I will clamp them on and they look good. They look like they're done correct. And then she will wear it, snap it and unsnap it, and they end up coming off after a little while. And I just cannot clamp the pliers any harder. So I do not like those. I try to remember to stay away from those, even though I have a box. Any snaps that you hammer in, those are my favorite. I love the hammer in ones because you don't have to rely on your hand strength at all or getting it just right. You hammer it on in there and you know it's there for good. So I love the hammer in type. I have these heavier duty metal ones I got off Amazon. I also have some from Snap Source, I believe is the site. And I think I use a size 16 most often. And it has a little bit different method of putting them together. But you also use a hammer to hammer them in. And I have really good luck with those working and staying for me as well. So if you're looking to buy snaps for the first time, I would recommend looking for hammering styles. I tend to think that they last a lot better. It has been my experience. There's also a big old snap press you can get. I have not invested in that. I don't find myself doing too many snaps. My sister has one. She loves it. It's a big old heavy duty thing. It kind of is the same thing as the hammer where it takes away that are you clamping down the snap hard enough for it to stay. It's a big old heavy metal one. You kind of crank it down and it's going to get it nice and tight and good. So that is another method. They are big and they are super heavy. So unless you do snaps quite often, I wouldn't think you would want to kind of give the space for it, but that is another option out there. I really love snaps. I find they're quicker than buttons, and my daughter can snap and unsnap herself, so that's super convenient for my daughter's clothes. For mine, I just think they're cute. These little gold snaps are just too cute. And they're a little bit quicker than doing all the buttonholes and buttons. I do love a traditional button and buttonhole as well. If you're doing buttons and buttonholes, we have a beautiful blog post. I believe Alex wrote it for us, all about buttons and buttonholes. Again, that interfacing is super important for that. If you have the right interfacing in, and honestly, if you have any kind of interfacing in there at all, it's going to make doing buttonholes and buttons, snaps, all do just fine. So I'm going to speed this up a little bit so I don't bore you too bad adding all these snaps in, and then you can see my finished Grace dress. And I can't wait to see your finished Grace dress too. Don't forget to share it with us. I'm going to show you really quickly how I mark my other side. I do not use my button gauge. Again, I always use my previous set of either buttonholes. I always do my buttonholes first, or my first set of snaps. So I align the most important parts, the very front, my waistband here. Then I'll be aligning the waistband and the very bottom of my skirt. And I'm going to make sure that they line up at those most important spots first, and then kind of make the rest fit if it's not perfect. Maybe I accidentally cut one 1/4 of an inch longer. I stretched it out while I was sewing, something like that. I didn't use the very perfect seam allowance somewhere. If one end happens to be longer or shorter, this is where you can make up for it ever so slightly. Make sure the very top fits, the very bottom fits perfectly, and then ease in any mistakes that you might be finding along the way. Hopefully it aligns perfectly and it is no worry, but every once in a while you'll notice it's off just a teeny tiny bit. And if you align the top and the bottom and then kind of ease out that little tiny mistake, it's only just a tiny bit, right? Just maybe 1/4 of an inch. And you can ease in that 1/4 of an inch along the entire skirt and no one will ever notice. So always do the top and the bottom first, make the middle fit. So I'm going to show you a close-up again of this other side. It's very, very similar. Use my scissors to poke a quick hole, stick in the one snap. You want to cut a small hole as possible until you can fit the little rod into it. And then the other piece slides on top. Oh, knocked it out of there. Gotta put it in there again. Slide the other piece on top. So now my rod from the first piece is kind of sticking up in that middle. You grab your little tool. This tool just came with my snap kit. Hammer it on in, and now they're stuck for life. There they are. You can kind of see my little yellow markings this close as well. And I'm going to show you one more. One last thing to mention on the snaps is I think they're ever so slightly easier to do up and down for nursing. You can do them one-handed ever so slightly easier than buttons if you're holding baby and trying to get undone and done back up. And also that you don't have to put snaps or buttons and buttonholes down the entire dress if you do not want to. On my midi length dress, I knew I was never going to button it up all the way down to the very bottom. I would always kind of treat the bottom as a slit, and so I didn't put them all the way down. So there's another thing to think about when you're placing your snaps. I did not put any snaps on the ruffles. I didn't want my ruffle to have one, so something else to think about. This is me using my very, very last snap in this set. Made me a little sad, but there you go, nice and empty. Had to order a new one. And we're done. I can't wait to see yours. I hope you love the button-up dress because it does take a little more time, love, and effort to do all the buttons or snaps. But I absolutely love mine, and I can't wait to see yours. Don't forget to share with us on Instagram, Facebook, wherever you can find us and tag us. TikTok. I'm trying to get there. I'm a little old for TikTok, but I'm trying. Bye, y'all.